Welcome back to the Wrestling Rewind with your host Max.
Bottom of Jan.
And now we are on January 20th, 1997. For Nitro, the show opens up as normal. The announcers are introducing us to the show, but then suddenly we see Macho Man come through the crowd. He jumps over the railing and he tosses a chair into the ring. This is the first time we have seen Macho Man since Halloween Havoc, so it's been a few months. He gets a good pop too when he gets into the ring. Macho Man grabs a mic from Dave Penzer. He says he's been blackballed and he is not leaving until he talks to somebody with some major stroke around here and reinstates him. So he sits in the ring. He's waiting for Bischoff or somebody in the WCW committee to come down. We do this for a while until we hear Chavo Guerrero's music because Chavo is supposed to be in the first match here, but Macho Man isn't leaving the ring. This goes on for a little while. Chavo tries to get Macho Man to leave.
Chavo does something he shouldn't have done. He put his hand on Macho Man Randy Savage when he's reached full madness.
When you're at 100% madness, you just don't touch the man. So he gets up and he punches Chavo and tosses him out of the ring. Then we get Diamond Dallas Page's old buddy Max Muscle comes out. He jaws with Macho Man. Then Max meets the same fate Chavo did.
So he also did the same thing Chavo did. He touched Macho Man. You can't be doing that.
Oh, yeah.
He takes him in the turnbuckle and stomps a mud hole in him.
It's good stuff. But the Alex Wright follows suit. He gets knocked out by Macho Man as well. Then we see the amazing French Canadians come out. The Steiner brothers come out to try to tell Macho Man to leave the ring so we can continue the show. Macho Man doesn't care what they have to say, and he still won't leave. Then we also get Doug Dillinger, the head of security for WCW, comes in to try to get things back on track. Macho Man knocks him out too.
And then, I can't remember this ref's name, but he's the balding one. The ref talks to Macho Man, and Macho Man pie faces him, and the ref sells it as if he's not getting knocked out. And then Macho Man just tosses him over the top rope. It's pretty impressive bump for the referee to take, honestly. And that's when Doug Dillinger comes out and also gets to business.
And then Sting lowers from the rafters and he walks towards the ring. Macho Man remains sitting in the chair as Sting gets into the ring and points the bat at him. Sting sort of circles Macho Man. He bangs the bat on the chair, kind of like an intimidation tactic here. And then he puts the bat under Macho Man's chin. And then he pushes Macho Man away with the bat, kind of like he's done with other people throughout the past few months. Then he does the same thing as he's done in the past. He hands the bat to Macho Man. He turns his back to Macho Man to see if he'll hit him with the bat. Macho Man does not attack Sting and instead tosses the bat back to Sting, who makes a nice catch. Would have looked really bad if he dropped it.
Most of these clips with Sting tossing the bat, I don't know if anyone ever dropped it. So I was honestly pretty impressed that everybody's got their reflexes up.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you try it now, some of these wrestlers, man, I don't think they catch it.
The lights might be too bright. But then Macho Man passes the test. Sting and Macho Man seem to form a bond, and they leave through the crowd together, ending the segment. This was a good segment here. The crowd was very into it. Again, we have not seen Macho Man for months, so he felt fresh when he came back. Felt like a major deal. This is the type of stuff that if I was watching, trying to go back and forth between both shows, I would have stuck with Nitro after this.
Oh, for sure.
If you have not seen it before, I would watch it. Very good stuff here. But then we'll go into our first match for Nitro. It is Alex Wright versus Chris Jericho. And Alex Wright, you remember, was just knocked out by Macho Man. But yeah, he still has his match. Chavo and Max Muscle, their match is canceled, thankfully. But we also learn that Masahiro Chono will be facing Chris Jericho at Sold Out after the beatdown Chono gave Jericho last week. So we got that to look forward to. But even with this quick match, the match is only 2 minutes and 27 seconds. We still have time to get a boring chant in the middle of it. So fans just do not want to see this match right now.
I feel like a lot of fans did that. I'm not saying this match was decent, but there have been matches where I thought, oh, wow, this is actually pretty good. And fans chanted boring. There's been 1 or 2 Bret Armstrong matches where I'm like, the crowds are chanting boring. I'm like, y'all don't even know you don't even know the craft you see before you.
Anyways, back to this match. Again, very quick match. So Jericho wins with a pinning maneuver. What would you call that?
I just said he rolled him up.
Yeah, Jericho wins with a roll up. Not a good match here. But yeah, that was the opening match. We'll go to the second match again because Raw is still just 1 hour. So the second match for Nitro is NWO Sting versus Scotty Riggs.
Who still comes out to American males.
Yeah, I'm not going to get too much into this match. Again, this is another quick one. 2 minutes and 46 seconds. Riggs hits a missile drop kick and he goes for the pin. but NWO Sting kicks out as Buff Bagwell comes out, and Bagwell's telling Riggs that he is too fat, while Buff is, well, he's simply too buff. This distracts Riggs and allows NWO Sting to try to do a sneak attack on Riggs, but of course he dodges it. Then he hits NWO Sting with a forearm. Then he goes for the pin, but the NWO B team run into the ring, and Scotty Riggs books it through the crowd.
It made Scotty Riggs look pretty smart 'cause he left the smart way through the crowd, so.
Dave Penzer announces Scotty Riggs as the winner by disqualification, but the NWO corner Penzer and yell at him that Sting, the NWO Sting, is the winner by countout. So Penzer is intimidated to change the announcement to NWO Sting wins by countout. So I don't know who the official winner is. I believe it's Scotty Riggs by disqualification.
Yeah, Scotty Riggs.
And then we end this segment with Buff Bagwell posing to the camera as we go to commercial. We at least got to build the feud between Scotty Riggs and Buff Bagwell. They will be having a match at Sold Out, so this was fine with me. All right, let's go over to Raw. We open up the show with Vince and the rest of the commentary team telling us about a big announcement coming later tonight from Gorilla Monsoon. And right as he's saying that, we see Bret Hart storming to the ring. So we got Macho Man coming to the ring. Then we have Bret Hart storming to the ring on Raw. So Bret Hart also has promo time here. Bret says he has something to say to Vince, and he tells him that when he decided to come back to the WWF, Vince promised him an opportunity to fight for the WWF title. Bret says Vince told him that if he put him in the ring with Stone Cold and beat him, he would be the #1 contender, and he did beat Stone Cold. And he hasn't had his title opportunity yet. Bret mentions that it's also a little convenient that Shawn Michaels is announcing his match against Psycho Sid. Bret Hart says it's not really fair because Shawn cost Bret the WWF title with blatant interference in his match with Psycho Sid at In Your House Is Time. So Bret's making some good points here, and it's true stuff too. Bret tells Vince he doesn't like to make threats, but since it doesn't look like he is going to get his opportunity at the WWF title, he tells Vince he quits and he leaves through the crowd. Vince tries to reason with Bret to stay and not quit, but Bret leaves through the crowd as they chant, "We want Bret." So we kind of have, similar good hot openings here.
It would have been tough to decide which one to stay on.
And I was checking, this is not a taped episode because this took place right after the Royal Rumble. So both these episodes are live. So I was just trying to see if WCW planned the Macho Man thing to combat the WWF thing, but that's not the case. But for Bret, this is very intriguing because he just came back not too long ago from being gone after the WrestleMania match with Shawn Michaels, and now he's quit. So that's really intriguing to see where that goes. And this is the start of Bret slowly building towards his heel turn. He's not going to be this good, perfect babyface playing by the rules.
No, we're definitely building.
He has every right to feel this way. What he said was true. So it's always good when someone's developing a heel character and they have actual truth to what they're saying. But after Bret leaves, Stone Cold comes out and he grabs a mic, and the mic he grabbed isn't working. So he has to get another one. And he warns the person who handed it to him that if that doesn't work, then he will whip his ass, which the crowd liked it when he threatened them.
Give me a piece of equipment that works, son, or I have to whip your ass.
Anytime Austin threatens violence, the crowd's going, yeah.
Like, hell yeah, kick his ass. But Stone Cold tells Bret that all he's ever done since he has come back was cry, talking about how everyone is screwing him. But he tells Bret that when the going gets tough, the hearts go home. And he says the only person Bret can beat is his dad in his old basement. And again, the crowd's popping with some of these lines. They like what he's saying. Austin says he was supposed to have a match with Psycho Sid tonight, but Psycho Sid is out with a concussion. But Austin says it's really because Sid has a yellow stripe running down his back. I think Sid legitimately did have a concussion, or he could have been playing softball, one of those two.
Yeah, it could be softball season.
But this was a good segment with Bret's promo and then Austin's promo here. We got some classic Stone Cold material, and the feud between Stone Cold and Bret Hart is coming along very nicely. As everyone knows, it's one of the all-time greats, so it's no surprise there. But great opening segments from both shows. Must-watch TV. Let's go back to Nitro, where we have our third match. It is Arn Anderson and Mongo McMichael versus Eddie Guerrero and Jeff Jarrett. The show is in Chicago, Illinois today, so when Mongo comes out, he gets a good pop from the crowd. Of course, he played for the Chicago Bears, won Super Bowl with the 1985 Bears, so he's a fan favorite here.
Rest in peace, Mongo.
But to start this match, Arn Anderson and Jeff Jarrett tussle in and out of the ring. Arn tags in Mongo, and the crowd, again, pops for Mongo. Mongo shoulder tackles Eddie Guerrero, and then he lifts Guerrero in the military press, with ease. But Eddie is able to get out of the military press, and he drop kicks Mongo. We then see Eddie run to the back during the match as Arn Anderson hits a spine buster on Jeff Jarrett. And the commentary team tell us that 6 came out, and that's why Eddie ran out of the match. We didn't see 6. They should have done a better job of letting us see that because it looks like he just randomly left. So things are not going well for Jarrett. Arn Anderson has Jarrett in a Boston Crab, but Deborah comes in and throws in her white sachet, whatever the hell you call it. She throws that on the mat to wave the white flag, and she begs Arn Anderson to stop hurting Jeff Jarrett. Arn and Mongo are kind of confused about Deborah's actions because she's supposed to be with the Horsemen, and how was she able to throw the white flag for another team? Doesn't make much sense. But I thought the finish for this match was terrible.
Yeah, I don't like the finish.
It was very dumb how someone for the opposing team could wave the white flag for someone else. Just dumb. But I did think it was cool to see Mongo get the hometown reaction. Like, we've always liked him. We'd never understood all the hate for him. But yeah, so there was a short match, 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Then we move on to a ramp interview with the 4 Horsemen. Flair is here this week. He tells us the Nature Boy is on the mend, but he is putting his body back together. Flair's still in the middle of his rehab. He's still going to be gone for a little longer here. But he's here tonight, and Jacob, stop me if you heard this before. Flair says the Horsemen are not the unit they have been in the past, but he says that Mongo and Benoit need to be Horsemen first. So we need to be united as a team. I think we've heard that about 70 times now.
Yeah, just a tad.
Arn says being a horseman is the greatest thing in this business, and he says the Horsemen will prevail as long as Flair and Arn are in it. Benoit tells Mongo that Mongo is a winner when it comes to football, and Deborah is a winner when it comes to beauty pageants. But this is pro wrestling, and he tells both of them to keep things in perspective. Mongo tells Benoit that they had Jarrett beat, but Benoit couldn't beat Jarrett in 2 matches. Mongo did cause Benoit to lose one of those matches at least. But it's still true, Jarrett did beat him twice. But then everyone but Mongo and Deborah leave as Deborah chimes in and says, woman has a heart as big as her hips, and just continues to shit talk woman as the segment ends. So again, no real resolution with the team. We're still bickering, same old shit really. Nothing changes. But then we go to an NWO video where we see Eric Bischoff lounging around on a motorcycle. He tells us how much he loves Hollywood Hogan, and he says Hogan even bought him that bike. Those two are just such good friends. Bischoff then smacks talk Flair and Piper, and he tells Piper that he should have listened to him when he warned Piper not to get in the ring with Hogan. Bischoff then pulls Liz into the frame and mocks Macho Man, saying the only 2 things Macho Man wants are Liz and Bischoff's hair. And then Bischoff laughs his ass off as we end that video. But I did think it was interesting he mentioned Macho Man's hair, because for a while I thought that was a no-no because Macho Man was sensitive about that issue. So.
Macho Man was sensitive about a lot of stuff, but yeah, no, I guess it was okay. Or maybe Savage was pissed off in the back.
That may be. But I did like this video. Bischoff came off as such a little bastard, and he did a fantastic job of being like a weasel. Bischoff does the evil boss thing pretty well. Not as good as Vince will do, but he should get credit for doing a good job that he did.
We're going to have to think of a different animal. We already got a weasel in WCW.
That's true. We'll workshop it. Okay, let's do one more match for Nitro, then we'll go to our first match for Raw. We have Dean Malenko versus Ultimate Dragon with Sonny Ono. During this match, for some reason, we get an ECW chant. Dean Malenko was an ECW, but I don't know about Dragon.
No, my chat tells me there's no record of Dragon in ECW.
Yeah, well, we get an ECW chant here for whatever reason. Again, we're in Chicago, but it's neither here nor there. During this match, we do see Dragon go for a crossbody block, but Malenko reverses it into a power slam, and he follows it up with another power slam and then a brainbuster for a 2 count. Good sequence there. Dragon is able to make a quick comeback with a handspring elbow, and he later hits the top rope, twisting Hurricanrana for a 2 count. But Dragon does eventually win this match with a, I don't know how to say this. Mike Tenay said it, I believe, La Magistral Cradle. I'm sure I fucked that up, but that's what he did. The commentary team also tells us that these two will be facing each other again tomorrow at Clash of Champions. When they said that, I was like, well, then we shouldn't have had them have a match today. In my opinion, I think they should have held off, but it is what it is. This match was only 4 minutes and 17 seconds. It was the best match so far up to this point. Not that that's a surprise. But it did feel like they were saving the good stuff for tomorrow, for when they have an actual title match. So I'm fine with it not being the best thing between them. Before I go over to Raw though, after that match, we do get a recap of the opening segment of Nitro, and Mike Tenay says he hasn't seen a sit-in like that since they were in vogue in the 60s. I was like, damn, Tenay, you're really bringing that up?
I was like, oh no. I was like, why do we do that?
That's kind of wild right there. But that was funny. But let's go over to Raw, where we have our first match of the night is Owen Hart and the British Bulldog versus Doug Furness and Philip LaFon.
I do love Doug Furness just tossing people around. He does a great belly to belly on Owen, and this match just launches him.
Yeah, Doug Furnace, I'm actually been really impressed with. Not so much Philip LaFon.
Owen Hart breaks up a tag, and then Doug Furnace comes in and absolutely blasts him with a shoulder charge.
Yeah.
Absolutely blasts him.
Yep, and then he has another nice drop kick. He has good drop kicks. And then he hits the overhead belly to belly on Owen. He is just throwing this man over the ring. Furnace is not done showing off his skill set as he does the Scott Steiner standing Hurricanrana that he does. He did this one to perfection, but he doesn't get the win there. Later in the match, Owen grabs his slammy and hits LaFon with it, and the Bulldog pins him for the win. They gave this match some time. On Raw, you get matches that last a little while. This match lasted 10 minutes and 21 seconds. For this match, I was really impressed with Doug Furnace, and it's a shame he never really did much in the WWF. I think he could have been pushed as a singles. But these two teams have had matches before. I think all their matches have been pretty solid, and at this time, they're still trying to build Furnace and LaFon. We know that it never really goes anywhere, but this was a pretty solid match. Let's go do another 2 matches for Nitro real quick. So we have Jacques Rougeau with Colonel Robert Parker versus Steven Regal for a TV title match. And we normally don't see the amazing French Canadians in singles matches, so this is something new at least. Of course, in Nitro edition, the matches are short. 1 minute 53 seconds for this one. Rougeau starts off on offense, and at one point, Colonel Parker tries to grab Regal's foot, but Regal stomps on Colonel Parker's hand, and Colonel Parker is so upset that he tries to enter the ring, which distracts Regal so that Rougeau can grab Regal from behind. So when Parker goes to punch Regal, Regal gets out of the way, of course, as they always do, and he hits Rougeau, and the ref calls for the bell, announcing Steven Regal winner by DQ, even though he wasn't the one that got hit. But this was a nothing match, pretty much a waste of time. It makes the amazing French Canadians look even more like jokes than they already have been.
The only compelling thing about the amazing French Canadians, at least to me, was Robert Parker pretending to be French.
Well, that's not the only thing now. I do like their finisher. A couple times we hit it.
I like their finish.
But again, nothing match. We'll just move on to the next thing.
And I love seeing Jacques Rougeau's hair progressively thin.
Yeah.
It is bad.
He just holding on to that for as long as he could. But after that nothing match, we go to our 6th match, and it is Kevin Sullivan with Jimmy Hart versus Chris Benoit. So this is actually a Nitro match with some heat on it. We actually have a long-standing feud here. These two have had matches before. They're still feuding. So this actually has something to sink our teeth into. So to begin this, Benoit attacks Kevin Sullivan during his entrance. And naturally, as they always do, these two start fighting in the crowd. And of course, we go to the men's bathroom where we start beating the shit out of each other some more. They always make their way to the bathrooms. But eventually, these two do make their way back to the ring. But as they're making their way back, we do see Sullivan take a cup of beer from a fan, and he throws it all in Benoit's face.
He offered him a beer, but he didn't let him drink it.
Yeah, that's rude. Pretty wasteful. Some other fans then join in on the fun, and they start tossing their beers at them as well.
WCW crowds were quick to start tossing shit.
Benoit doesn't take a beer. He does grab a Coke, though, and he throws it in Sullivan's face to give him his receipt. But then we do get into the ring, and Sullivan low blows Benoit. Woman hops on the apron to get the ref's attention. Benoit goes for a flying headbutt, but Jimmy Hart handed Kevin Sullivan the ring bell. So Benoit lands head first onto the ring bell, and he is out cold. And then Sullivan pins Benoit for the win. And this might be the only time Sullivan beat Benoit in a match.
That was his only singles loss to Sullivan. He did lose a tag match at Bash to the Beach. Chris Benoit and Arn Anderson for Taskmaster and the Giant, but that was obviously more because of the Giant.
Yeah. After the match, Benoit struggles to get up. He sells it well of being knocked out by the ring bell. The commentary team also tells us that these two will have a match tomorrow at Clash of Champions, so it seems like there are going to be a lot of rematches on that show. So I'm not in love with that. This match, though, was fine. It was entertaining, so they did a good job here. But let's go over to Raw, where we have our second match. It is Farouk with the Nation of Domination versus Bart Gunn.
I have a certified Scoopy alert. Farouk hits a scoop slam on Bart Gunn that I thought was pretty good.
Thank you for noting that. Farouk does win this match with the Dominator, but this Dominator looked like it was close to breaking Bart Gunn's neck.
It was close. It was close.
And I think people underestimate just how big of a guy Bart Gunn is, so I'm sure that had something to do with it.
No.
It was a close call here, but for this match in particular, the crowd didn't seem to care about it. It wasn't that long, thankfully. But we'll move on to the next thing here. After this match, Vince McMahon and Gorilla Monsoon make their way to the ring. We're getting to Monsoon's big announcement for tonight. Monsoon says he is upset to hear that Bret Hart quit earlier tonight. He says it is a real travesty what happened at the Royal Rumble, but he cannot do anything about the result because the referee's decision is final. Monsoon says that tainted victory will not entitle Austin to a match against the WWF champion. Instead, what will happen is that there will be a 4-man elimination, no DQ match at the next In Your House pay-per-view, and the winner will face the WWF champion at WrestleMania.
But I do like that Monsoon announces that the 4 participants are the people that Austin illegally eliminated, which was The Undertaker, Vader, Bret Hart. So I did like that they played that into like the people that he eliminated after he was out.
They did forget about somebody though, because he was technically the last 4 in. Is Fake Diesel.
Yeah, come on.
Well, how come Fake Diesel isn't in this match?
I believe that was the last time you will see Fake Diesel.
I think
Thank
so.
God. If they had wanted him to be in it, he would just gotten immediately eliminated anyway.
Yeah. So the rules for the 4-man elimination match are going to be a bit unique. It is going to be pin, submission, and over the top rope are ways to win. So we'll cover it when we get there. But the participants again are Stone Cold, Bret Hart, Undertaker, Vader. Big names. But Austin is not happy that Monsoon has taken away his title opportunity, so he storms out. He grabs a mic and he tells Monsoon they can't have a 4-man match because Bret Hart just quit. That's true. Austin says he threw 29 piles of trash out of the ring, and when he gets done with the Fatal 4-Way, he will toss Gorilla Monsoon into the ring and deal with him. Austin then gets in Monsoon's face, but Vince kind of steps in between Monsoon and Austin. So then Austin gets in Vince's face, sort of a tease for the future here. So I did like that. I was like, oh shit, here we go. But as Austin and Vince are face to face, Bret Hart then comes back out. He gets into the ring. He grabs a mic and he says he accepts Monsoon's proposal. Austin and Hart then start brawling and have to be separated as we go to commercial. This was another damn good segment on the show tonight. No surprise, it dealt with Austin and Bret. Every single segment, I feel like, between those two are A+. And the announcement made sense for Monsoon. Austin did cheat, so these are logically making sense, and it's building towards a match at the next In Your House, so this is well done.
I'd agree.
But then we go to commercial there, so let's go back to Nitro. Our 7th match is Carl Ouellet with Colonel Robert Parker versus Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Ouellet, of course, does try to sing the Canadian National Anthem, but Hacksaw Jim Duggan cuts him off while he's singing it. I believe Hacksaw did that because Hacksaw's only about the stars and stripes, brother.
Or he's also about WCW, ways around the WCW flag at times.
Yes, at this time in particular, yes.
So.
Oh, I forgot to mention that the NWO, before this match, did come out without Hogan to take over the commentary table, as they always do.
They're burying Ouellet on commentary.
Yes, they do. Bischoff on commentary also says he's going to make changes to some of the matches later tonight, as we were supposed to have a Psychosis versus Dave Taylor match, but instead it will be Masahiro Chono versus Dave Taylor. Wow, what a great match. But then...
I'd rather see Psychosis.
I know, that's what I'll say. The short match happens here. The Steiner brothers come down to the ring. They attack Rougeau while Hacksaw hits Ouellet with the tape fist for the win. This match was 1 minute and 2 seconds, so yeah, not really much to speak of here. But then after the match, we get a video package looking at the recent history between the Outsiders and Diamond Dallas Page. The Nash on commentary says he feels betrayed by Page, and he says that Dallas had the potential, but now he would get the beating of his life. But after this, we do get our match that was announced by Bischoff. It is Dave Taylor versus Masahiro. But for this match, Bischoff tells Nick Patrick to go referee this match. Dave Taylor, for some reason, comes out in a ridiculous-looking Sherlock Holmes-esque attire.
Yeah, they tried that, and that's like the only week you see it.
Yeah, I believe you see it more on the Saturday show, but that's kind of a random thing to throw on us on a Monday Night Nitro. But anyways, Masahiro Chono wins with the STF 2-minute 36-second match. Dave Taylor actually got in some offense in the beginning, but this was another match where commentary was really the focus. Let's do one more match of Nitro. The 9th match is Booker T with Sister Sherry versus Scott Hall. But Scott Hall comes out to a good pop, as he usually does. Bischoff does take another shot on the WF on commentary. He calls the Royal Rumble a disaster. I don't remember if he said the words Royal Rumble, but you know what he's talking about. He is right, though. It was not the best Royal Rumble. For the match, Booker T is able to get a good Harlem sidekick and then later goes for a crossbody, but Scott Hall catches him and hits him with the fallaway slam. Booker T then later hits a top rope crossbody and he goes for the pin, but referee Nick Patrick is here, so he is a little slow with the count. Booker T then jaws with Nick Patrick, and Scott Hall takes advantage of this and hits the Outsider's Edge for the win. And then afterwards, Hall talks to the camera and he tells Luger that he is next, because they have a match tomorrow. This match was only 2 minutes and 49 seconds, but it was a hard-hitting match, and of course, I wanted to see it go on for a little bit longer, because these two could put on a good match if they got the proper time and a proper feud. For a 2-minute 49-second match, pretty good.
Yeah, it was fine. Yeah.
Let's go back and wrap up Raw. After the commercial break, we see Austin and Brett still jawing at each other until the Undertaker's gong hits and he makes his way to the ring for the main event. As the Undertaker makes his way to the ring, he and Bret Hart start trading shots. Everyone here is just wants to fight each other.
I got a kick out of that.
He's like, all right, you were here. I might as well hit you. And Stone Cold also goes after the Undertaker, so we can start our main event match of Stone Cold Steve Austin versus the Undertaker. I mean, that's a good main event anywhere. But at one point, Undertaker low blows Austin. The referee Earl Hebner missed it. Undertaker goes to pick up Austin, but Austin hits the Stone Cold Stunner and both men are down. As we go to the back and see Vader being separated from Bret Hart as we go to commercial. So all the participants in this four-way match are just trying to beat the shit out of each other. You love to see it. After a commercial break, Austin goes to the top rope, but Undertaker kicks the ropes, causing Stone Cold to land on his groin. The Undertaker tries to suplex Stone Cold, but Austin pushes the Undertaker off and hits a mid-rope elbow drop. After that, Vader and Paul Bearer come down to the ring to interfere into the match. The Undertaker chokeslams Vader, who pretty much no-sells the chokeslam, as Bret Hart runs down, and all four men start brawling, and the Undertaker is ruled the winner by disqualification as the show ends. This match was only 6 minutes 39 seconds. I don't mind it though, because you don't want to give away a full Stone Cold Undertaker match on Raw.
Yeah, come on. Yeah.
But for what we got, not a bad match. But again, this was more focused on building towards that Fatal 4-Way match, and that match does deliver. So they do a good job building towards that. But that is the end of Raw. It was a little weird to not see Shawn Michaels or Psycho Sid. I know Psycho Sid was out with a concussion, they said. This is the night after the Royal Rumble. Shawn had his big win. It was weird to see him not here.
Yeah.
But overall, the storyline development with Stone Cold Bret Hart was great. And again, the Final Four match, they are building up nicely. Other than that, though, the Farouk Bart Gunn match skip. Owen Hart Bulldog versus Fergus LaFon. That was decent. And then the main event was fun as well. Definitely better than some of the episodes we've had throughout the past few months. Yeah.
I thought it was good, and it builds up to what I consider to be a pretty good match at Final Four.
But let's go ahead and let's wrap up Nitro. Our last match of the evening is Stevie Ray with Sister Sherry versus Lex Luger. The referee for this main event match is Nick Patrick. He and Luger exchange some words before the match starts. Stevie Ray gets a jump on Luger as his back was turned. It doesn't really matter though, because Luger hits a power slam, then gets a torture rack for the win. 2 minutes, 21 seconds. Not a very entertaining match. But the ending segment for the night is another NWO segment. Hollywood Hogan is here, and he comes out and poses for the crowd, and then he gets to business, and he tells a story about how the plane they were in was breaking down. So Hogan just stuck his arms out of the plane and he flew the plane because that's just how big his arms are. A ridiculous story.
I thought that was funny.
I did think it was funny because, you know, he's such a narcissist, so of course.
Like, it's just showing like his ego is out of control.
Yeah. Exactly. The crowd didn't seem to care for the story because Hogan sucks chant breaks out. Hogan starts bringing up the Giant's mother as the Giant comes out to try to get to Hogan, but security gets in his way. The Giant is able to get through the security right as the show ends because, of course, right before we get to see what we want to see, we run out of time. I would say the ending to Nitro this week was a bit of a letdown because it was a nothing promo from Hogan and we didn't get to see the Giant do anything. But this is the go-home show, so we'll get to see them wrestle on this upcoming Sunday. But overall for Nitro, very hot opening. Crowd was hot through most of the show. The show didn't really have too much good wrestling because every match was like 3 minutes or less. And they were having a tough time trying to build towards both Clash of Champions and Sold Out. I think this one might be one of the last Clash of Champions, so we won't have to worry about that too much longer.
It might be the last. No, there's one more in August.
Okay. But yeah, that is that between both shows. Who did you have as your winner this week?
The WWF.
I would agree.
We are now on the 30th week of the streak, so the Nitro won 3.7 to 2.2. They haven't beaten WWF pretty handily for a while now.
Yes. But WWF, I mean, that's a couple wins in
It's
97.
cooking, yeah.
So we're definitely getting there. But that is that. Next, what we have is Class of Champions. We'll see y'all
Yeah.
on the next episode.